We were freshmen at Harding University, and we met at the house of a professor called Marty Cox, Dr. Cox, and he was hosting a meeting of people who had grown up outside of the United States, and so that's where we first met in one of the first weeks of our freshman year.
We both grew up as missionary kids, and so we both kind of had that desire to do missions from the beginning. But when we met, and then he went on an internship to Africa, and then after that, we just decided to go to Africa together.
We didn't know exactly which country to go. There's a lot of countries to choose from in Africa, but we decided to try to recruit more people to make a team. And so we had a team of 7 couples, and together we researched and decided to go to Mozambique, Africa. Because Mozambique speaks Portuguese, we had gone to Portugal for a while and spent 9 months there in Europe to learn Portuguese, and then we went on to Mozambique.
It was very different being a missionary kid and being a missionary parent, and like being responsible for doing all the work, the mission work, and being responsible for your own children. And so even though it was similar in some ways, it was very different because we suddenly had to make the decisions and had to figure out all the logistics. And so, yeah, and the culture was different. And so some of the things that we thought would be the same weren't. For example, someone came to visit us one time, and I said, "Would you like a chair?" Meaning, would you like to sit down and visit? Which, for us, that would be normal. So she said, "Sure." And then when she was done, she took the chair with her and left the yard, because I had asked her, "Do you want a chair?" And we were just like, what's happening? We didn't, and so just like learning, you don't ask, "Do you want a chair?" You just offer and they sit down, and everyone sits down. You don't stand up and visit.
Sure.
You might think that doing mission work is like you just go and you preach and you teach and that's it. But the number of hats you wear is amazing. Like he'll get called, both of us will get called to go take people to the hospital, or go get dead bodies and take them back to their villages, or just come help with this in their farm, or just things that you wouldn't normally think of with mission work, but it just like there's so many different parts of it. Yeah, we're asked of a lot.
A lot of really poor people, really destitute people will go to the mosque and go around to the shop owners that are Muslim, and they'll ask for money. Well, I had kind of seen this, but one day they showed up and they came into our yard and they kind of filled up our yard, and I was just like, what are we going to do? So that's become actually a group that I'm very fond of. It's usually Friday afternoons they come, and our kids would help out and distribute rice. And now I would say about between 80 and 100 people show up every Friday and just kind of come sit in our yard. And it can feel overwhelming to a lot of visitors because it's people who are lame and blind, and there's people who have leprosy and all kinds of maladies that affect them. But it is kind of the lowest bunch, the lowest class, if you would say, in our area. And so we just feel like the love of Jesus needs to be shown to them as well. So just the idea of, I think at the beginning we thought a lot of like, what do I want to do for God? But then I think that question has changed over the years for us, and more just asking, God, what do you want us to do?
To start praying, and like praying alone, but also praying with other people who might be interested in doing mission work. We have a really strong view of team mission work and going with other people. It has been a huge blessing for us just to have each other to like bounce ideas off of, pray together, fellowship together. And so getting a like-minded group of people. And then once you have that, start praying about where to go and start asking people where to go. And eventually, all the logistics start working out, and then you start fundraising and all that. But it just starts with prayer and meeting with other people who have those same desires as you. It's been a privilege to be a missionary. Mostly it's relationships with people, both the Mozambican people and then our co-workers and other, we call them expats. It's like people from another country, so Americans or South Africans. So those relationships are just incredible. We feel blessed to have raised our kids over there. It's letting them see another part of the world and another way of living, and so they kind of know both sides. They have a bigger worldview because of that. And so yeah, I can go on and on about the blessings that we had, and just it feels like a very meaningful work to do. And so we feel like it's just been something that gives us a lot of purpose and fulfillment.